Liked by the sound of violence.
There have been great champions in this sport. Champions who did it for their own variety of reasons. Whatever the reason was. But they were great. And those are the ones that have driven this sport forward. And without the real great ones, without the true champions, without the fighters who didn't need the entertainment quotient, who didn't need some of these extracurricular, out-of-the-sphere kind of pieces of what a lot of people really crave. Without those folks, I think everything that we're talking about, everything that we're watching feels a lot less important.
Are you excited about it all?
What up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another Sound of Violence podcast. We are an MMA podcast to let you know the MMA podcast we should catch, skip, and can't miss each week. I am Pulver over here pouring beer very terribly, and I am here with my co-host, Chris Madaffer. How's it going, man?
I thought for a second we lost you in the Matrix because, since I can't see you and all, and there was that pause.
Oh, first, I had to take a real sip of this drink because I poured the beer poorly, if you will.
Poured it poorly, yeah. Everyone's been there.
That's right. Although, I guess we'll get right into format. You are not drinking beer this week. You're still sober as a motherfucker, from what I heard.
Yeah, so Sundays when I could drink again. Technically I can go longer than 30 days, but nah, I'm good. I feel good. It's just for me, just no more binge drinking, really.
You picked the wrong month to do it in, my dude. You know Mardi Gras was this last week, right?
Yeah. I think I've only celebrated Mardi Gras once.
Oh, you're doing it wrong. I'm sure Trevor was drinking heavy.
No, probably not, actually.
What a baby. I went to Mardi Gras with that motherfucker. He better have been drinking hard. I don't know. I took the whole week off, so I don't know. But you know what? To get us into the spirit, I heard you're drinking some super sweet, well, not sweet as in literally, but some super cool non-alcoholic something today, right?
Yeah, it's I don't know if you've ever seen that brand of tea. It's black tea called Tijava, I think is how you say it. Tijava. Really good. Yeah, if you like unsweetened black tea. Oh, it's solid.
Yeah, that is solid. I am drinking something not quite as non-alcoholic. I've had this beer, but I think it's been like a fucking at least 5 years, maybe probably longer than that. It's probably the last time I got a variety pack from this brewery, which I couldn't even. I think the only beer the most recent beer that I've had from Mother Earth Brewing has got to be the Cali Creamin', which I'm not that big a fan of. Yeah,
Cali Creamin'. Is definitely one of their staples. I don't think it's not a bad beer.
It's too sweet for me. But I picked up, actually, girlfriend Karen picked me up Syntax, which is their peanut butter stout, and it's pretty good.
Yeah. That reminds me. I need to go and maybe I'll do it with you. I need to go and drive up to Carlsbad or somewhere up near Vista and kind of just try out some of the other breweries and shit, man. I don't want to fucking spend on an Uber, so I would just probably do tasters and stuff. I really want to do that still, man. I'm missing out like on the North County scene.
True, but Mira Mesa has a ton of good breweries too, and also that the Hop Highway too.
Oh fuck, that's right.
And
Barrio and Barrio Logan too.
Yeah, Barrio Logan has a couple good ones. Like that's where Novo Brazil is kind of down that way.
Because for you have. You're near El Cajon, kind of ish. So you got what, Burning Beard?
I'm about 10 minutes from Burning Beard, if that. Yeah. It's real nice. Burning Beard is a great fucking brewery.
Yeah, I need to go there. And while we're on the topic of beers, quick shout outs, some thoughts. Try to send good vibes for those victims of that terrible fucking shooting at Molson Coors at one of their main facilities.
I didn't even hear about that. Wow.
In I think
Let me
there's
guess, in Canada?
no.
Oh,
I
weird.
think
You said Molson. I just automatically assumed, of course, it's the Canadians shooting people and not Americans.
no, Molson Coors, as in like the Coors.
I know.
You know.
I was making fun of how it obviously wasn't Canadians.
What the fuck was it? But apparently one of their employees unfortunately just went postal and took the lives of like 5 other people. It's a fucking shame.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, dude, you're just at your job at your brewery and that shit happens. Like, what the fuck?
Evidently, they need to up their. They either need to raise or lower their beer rations at that brewery, from what I'm understanding.
Oh, it was in Milwaukee. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a bummer. Well, Chris is starting us off on a nice light note. I will mention though, I'm drinking this beer out of the most incorrect glass of all time. But
are you drinking like a stout and a pint, or are you drinking like an imperial, something imperial, like in a pint, or
even
in a
better?
pint glass?
Even better. I'm drinking an imperial stout out of essentially a Collins glass or a
Oh,
highball.
great! Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm drinking it out of this because number one, it was the only glass I have in here because I'm in my office and I didn't want to have to go out to the other room. Also, picked up this sweet False Idol glass that will probably come up later in the show. But it's a sweet tiki glass, and fucking big shouts out to False Idol. I'll bring that up later, but that bar is cool as shit. You still haven't been, huh?
Which one?
False Idol, the tiki bar? The hidden tiki bar?
No, I have not been there.
It's really cool. We'll talk about it later.
Are you talking about the one that's at Kilowatt? That's the name of it?
No, the one downtown. That's Forbidden Cove.
Forbidden Cove. I've been there finally. That was really cool.
Yeah, that place is cool, but False Idol's the real shit.
Okay, yeah, I gotta go. To that.
We'll talk about it later. But anyway, not a beer podcast, despite my best efforts and TJ DeSantis' least favorite desires. However, we will go ahead and get into format. It's been a pretty fun week for podcasts. All in all, a lot of this week. I mean, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I don't know why you would, unless you really like food and or booze. But I have been just parading around San Diego. I found fucking 3 different Mardi Gras parades, and second lined for at least 2 of them. It was real dope. And it's been a fun
see
week.
any public arrests or like drunken public morons?
No, dude, everybody was like having a great fucking time. It was like the best. All the cops were cool with everything. Everything was
nice. That's
awesome.
how it should be every time. But then again, you're not in PB, so that's probably a big part of it too.
Well, I was downtown for one of them, so that
Okay.
was. And then I was in like kind of North Parkish area for the other one. But yeah, very cool parades and shit. So I guess follow me on Instagram at the Pulver if you want to see any of that.
It's like
it is goofy.
That color coordination is always so fun to look at. Just the purple, green, and what is it, gold or yellow?
Yeah, well, and everybody's all dressed up for the parades and whatnot. There's the Euphoria brass band down here in San Diego playing all the bangers. Some dude was playing Tipitino on vinyl at Pariah Brewing, actually, where I went over the weekend. Which Pariah Brewing, by the way, has some fantastic beers. I always see their canned stuff, but it's always pretty old on the shelf from what I found. But yeah, I went to their brewery out in like the very, very, very far end of El Cajon Boulevard near North Park, and holy shit, man, a lot of fun. So that was cool. Anyway, still not a beer podcast. So, Chris, why don't you start us off in format? Because while I did drink and mostly listen to WWOZ and Mardi Gras parades for the first half of the week, second half of the week had a bunch of really good MMA podcasts. So, what MMA podcasts do you recommend people catch this week?
So I have most of my stuff are a new podcast, which is interesting for once. I'll just start with a catch. I think it's just one catch. Which what?
I said I'm excited to hear him.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so the first catch I'll get out of the way, A-Side Live Chat. I like this episode a lot because Shorty Torres was with them for most of the entire episode, actually.
Yeah,
it's
the
pretty
entire
cool.
thing. It was great. I really like Shorty Torres. He's been great on stuff with like Luke Thomas and people in the past as well.
Yeah, one thing I thought was interesting, he talks about alcohol tolerance, like right after a fight.
Oh, yeah.
And I would imagine it makes a lot of sense whether, I don't know what you'd call it, whether adrenaline's up or down. I mean, because I've never, like, say I'm hitting pads or some shit, right? I've never once thought, hey, let me slam a beer, have a beer. So he says your tolerance is so low. I think he cited Michael Bisping. He had that infamous when he knocked out Luke Rockhold, and
That's right, buddy.
And he called him an F-bomb.
Yeah, I forgot that was part of that.
Yeah, and he's like, sorry, I'm kind of, and you could tell he's kind of a little tipsy. He is, the point is your tolerance is really low, and you kind of have to be a little careful. But I mean, I get it. Fighters have after parties.
Well, and the weight cut too is a huge factor.
Oh, 100%.
Because anytime you're not eating for a day or two, and then you have like 1 or 1.5 good meals, and then you have a drink after strenuous activity, like you're gonna be fucked up. Shit, if I don't eat for a day or if I have a meal at breakfast and I don't eat for a while, I'm gonna be fucked up off a couple drinks. So,
this brings me to another thing. Did you watch Wilder Fury 2?
Oh boy, yeah, I did.
What'd you think?
What was left of Wilder?
Yeah, what'd you think overall?
I mean, Wilder just got shit kicked for the entire thing. It was incredible.
Yeah, I haven't seen something like I think most boxing, if you're a fan of boxing, you follow boxing for it doesn't matter how long, you would know going in. Fury's the more technical boxer, he's more well-rounded.
I mean, he's the boxer. Wilder's a puncher.
Wilder's going off his strength for the most part and setting up that right hand. Didn't think it would look like that. But the brilliance of it was that Fury just kind of pressed forward against, a power puncher, which, if you don't give him that distance, he can't wing you from the outside. And that's exactly what he did. He was able to clip him so many times. I thought what was really smart is how he kind of went in with the clinch almost. Like he wasn't playing in like in a guillotine, but he was pressing all of his weight into him and hanging onto him. That 273-pound frame that he had. He probably might have weighed more than that. I don't know if he weighed any more than that.
He was real big. Yeah, that was what his rumored cut was from, was 273, I think.
But it doesn't surprise me. Good. I can't remember the last time I saw a towel thrown in a boxing match. Wilder had nothing left, especially when he got punched in the fucking ear. I know a lot of people thought that was a ruptured eardrum, and I think evidently it came out to be a really bad cut inside of his ear. Anyways, my point is I brought that up. So yeah, great fight by Fury. There's supposed to be a third fight, evidently, because I think Wilder's exercising that rematch clause. So I don't see it going any other way in that third fight unless Wilder is more patient and can kind of just stick away. But we'll see. Anyways, I brought that up.
Though, before you move on, I like I tweeted out, I think this is on my personal Twitter, but fucking goddamn Tyson Fury singing Don McLean's American Pie as my goddamn spirit animal.
It's pretty pretty amazing.
It's so good. It's so good. I teared up and everything like a big old baby. It was real good.
If you want to have a good laugh, remember that page I told you to check out, the Crime Faces, the guys that do
I love those guys.
Theirs on the Fury Wilder's pretty fucking goddamn great because they dub over Fury singing American Pie in the same tone, and they go like, it's like Wilder thought he could beat Tyson in his prime, and it's like, and this is the day where everyone gets fired, shit like that. Like the way that they do it is pretty clever.
Check that out.
Anyways, I brought this all up because they talk about what are the worst excuses you've ever heard after someone's lost a fight, and for those that are out of the
worst ones,
let me name some off. Wilder said that the 45-pound costume that I walked out to drained my legs before the fight happened.
Right.
It's like, well, don't get me wrong. Is that entirely possible? Yeah.
Sure walk faster, though, if that's the case.
Yeah. Another thing, the only reason why that kind of brings me to think, is because if you watched the Deontay Wilder interview on Joe Rogan's podcast last year, there was a part where Joe asked Deontay Wilder, how's your training regimen? And he said, I train about every day wearing a 45-pound vest, and he's a big guy. He's very strong.
And
yes, tall boxers like that have skinny chicken legs. I don't want to call him that. I'm sure he still has a lot of strength in his legs. You're carrying around all that weight. And you have to have some footwork. Granted, his footwork isn't that good.
Though.
Yeah.
Like, he's no Tyron Woodley.
Either way, I thought that was a stupid excuse. Another excuse he had, I thought was even worse, is he said initially he fired Mark Breland, which is a mistake because that guy has been with him the entire way, and he's the one who threw in the towel. Evidently, it just came out today he's bringing him back, which you should have kept him regardless.
Also, don't fire people for throwing in the towel. That should have happened. The ref could have stepped in before the towel was thrown.
And the worst excuse is Wilder said he initially thought Breland or someone. He thought there was a spy in his camp that came up from Kronk team, which is the one that trained Fury. It's like, really, dude, a fucking spy in your camp?
That's a lot of real misty talk.
That's just paranoid.
Yeah,
you're just paranoid. So I like Wilder a lot. I think the guy will be back. It's his first time ever losing. So
I think
we'll see
he'll
how
be
that.
back. I don't know. He's not beating Tyson Fury.
No, he's not beating Tyson Fury. I don't see that.
He didn't the first time. He's probably not the second time, or he definitely didn't the second time. I would be extremely amazed if he did the third.
Either way, as far as boxing, this is good for boxing, regardless what you think of Fury. And he's charismatic. He's only 31. This guy's gonna be fighting for a good while, barring any injuries.
Man. Yeah, so. Fuck injuries. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about him falling off the goddamn wagon like he did the last time.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he keeps believing in his spiritual beliefs.
Didn't he say he was going to get hookers and coke after this?
That's part of his dark sense of humor. So.
Hey, to be fair, it's a pretty good. If you're gonna go hard. I mean, that's not a bad idea. Is the way to go hard.
I mean, yeah.
He is the goddamn.
And to be fair, he literally did that in the past after he beat Klitschko.
Oh, 100%. I would argue most heavyweight champs probably at some point.
Oh, look at Tyson.
I mean, maybe
look at Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
look at the other Tyson.
Yeah, any of the Tysons.
Yeah. So yeah, good on Tyson Fury. As long as he keeps believing in Jesus as a savior, he's probably going to stay on the good wagon. So good on him. I'm looking forward to seeing.
We'll call it the wagon. I don't know how good that wagon is.
You know what I mean by that. Ask the guy from Creed.
Chris has been sober for this long.
Hey, ask the guy from Creed. Remember, he was a Jesus guy, and then he fell into certain things, and well, right.
Well, Chris can take me higher and a way out of this topic.
Yeah, it was his sacrifice. All right.
God damn it.
Anyways, you're talking about worst excuses for a fight. Rampage Jackson one time during Pride said he was poisoned before a fight.
Oh, that was multiple times.
I think Nick Diaz said, or no, GSP said he was poisoned, right? Or was it Nick Diaz?
No, GSP, BJ Penn, or no, Nick Diaz accused GSP of greasing, which that's probably real.
That's probably real.
He's not the only one that did that. And also for us, a hobby, he seems like the kind of clever motherfucker would be like, hey, George, listen, you know.
Hey, you got some cuts here on your shoulders. Let me put some Vaseline on there.
No, what they do is the rumor on how you grease effectively, because they'll wipe you down before fights.
Uh-huh.
But the way that you do it effectively is you soak the night before in like Vaseline or oil. All soaks into your pores. When you start sweating, it all comes back out.
It comes back out. That's fucking smart.
That's the rumor.
Shitty, but smart.
Yeah. I mean, and dudes have definitely done it.
Someone's probably still doing it now.
Oh, I'm
sure. Or if you're like Yoel's corner, just dump water on him.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're Cuban and you can't find any fucking oil anywhere to save your life.
Sugar water, Joe. Sugar water. All right, let me keep rolling through this. Tito Ortiz said he fought with a broken skull. That's hilarious. Yep. Yeah, they love the entrances from Fury and Wilder, even though it took like 15 minutes. I thought those are pretty funny.
I like goofy entrances. I think they're fun. I think that makes things more. I like pride entrances and EFN and all that.
Speaking of fun, why does Dana White hate fun? Shorty says he's making more money at Brave FC currently since he's on his own terms and there's no Reebok crap. He says isn't it insane to you that every single flyweight, I think this is true, in the UFC is currently ranked?
Oh yeah, they went through the list. There's only 14 or there's 15 currently on their list, and there's going to be 14 after a Champions Crown tomorrow. Yeah. Well, if Joseph Benavidez wins, which we'll get to later.
You already know he's going to lose tomorrow, but that's just the way.
And there's still not going to be a flyweight champ because you heard Davidson Figueiredo blew weight, right?
No, yeah, I know. That's why I'm saying this. That's just the way it goes. It's fucked.
You guys will hear things about this in our intermission clip. So.
Yeah, they said, I think Benavidez is going to win. Who is he even going to fight if he wins? He's basically defeated everyone. They'll probably try to push him to fight Kai Kara France because why not? They said Aldo versus Cejudo is 100% a money-making fight. Would this fight even happen?
No, it's not.
I don't think so. It's just.
I mean, they're doing it. We should rephrase that because that's not what that. They're not saying they're doing it to make money because of the names on it. They're doing it because it's in Brazil and it makes money. You sell more tickets with Aldo in the building, especially for a title.
They said we have a similar situation. We have another title challenger who's coming off 2 losses in a row with Yoel Romero. They said
More justified, I would argue, but
yeah, they said because no one else was there. I mean, I put in parentheses besides Cannonier, but he's hurt. He's recovering.
They're
from
both
surgery.
hurt. Him and Costa.
Yeah. PT Carroll says
Costa.
it's bad for the sport that Aldo skips ahead of Aljamain Sterling and Piotr Jan.
Oh yeah, we should mention that PT was the other host on this, since PT is like normally the host, but since he's always doing events and stuff, he's not always on. So
then they discussed what fighting in Dublin's like, and they says Paul Felder done, yada yada, and then they said the only notes I had left is also signs are pointing to Volkanovski and Holloway rematch this summer.
Yep. That's the sounds of things, unfortunately.
So that, as far as catches, as far as what I have read this season, I'll just mention new stuff later. Yeah, man. I know.
Yeah, that was a really good catch.
Went really long on that because I kind of mildly recapped the boxing match, but I kind of figured we'd get that out of the way.
Well, I like that one quite a bit too. That was just a really good episode overall. I like when they have guests on, like a third host, especially like when the fighter sits in as a third host. Like they've had Brian Kelleher, which was a great episode. This one with Jose Shorty Torres, who I know has done a bunch of podcasts with both them and with Luke Thomas in the past, if I remember right. Or maybe it was the Sirius XM show he did with Luke, which fuck Sirius XM. They can eat all the fucking dicks. Fuck that fucking garbage network. But anyway, it's just me being bitter and hating fucking Sirius. But yeah, no, it was a really good episode overall. I believe the official name was A-Side Live Chat UFC Auckland Fallout, I believe was the official name. But yeah, really good one. Let's see. I had a catch as well, and this was one of those shows that it's Fights Gone By episode 197, and it's just Jack Slack doing everything Jack Slack does in the most Jack Slack way, and it's just it's a quintessential good episode of what that show is. Like everything from him being so fucking upset about Aldo versus Cejudo being announced, to his breakdown of, I believe he called it Fuker versus Helder on accident at one point, but the Hooker versus Felder fight, and his like very technique heavy breakdown of like we kind of forget that if Felder just works behind a jab and throws low kicks, he's really goddamn good at it, and he just doesn't do it a lot because he doesn't like to. But he had great success in it later in the later rounds of this fight. And just really interesting. I always enjoy, like, Jack is one of those guys who's very good at not only understanding technique breakdown, but explaining technique breakdown in very simple, easy to understand things. And he references all of the things he is talking about. So it's a great kind of, that show is great from, like, entry-level MMA fan to, like, the hardest of the hardcores. Because you will just learn shit, whether you're so deep in it that you're hearing stories about Jack running on treadmills in front of Instant NUA and Instant NUA going crazy, or just like random, like, hey, this guy likes to throw jabs and low kicks versus this guy likes to work a clinch heavy game, that kind of stuff. So it's just a really good example of why his show is fantastic. And then, of course, all the boxing talk, like, as a dude who's not very heavy into boxing at all, I'm the most casual boxing fan. I'm like the most casual boxing fan. I mean, okay, that's not true, because I'm not like a DAZN casual boxing fan where I just watch fucking celebrity boxing shit. But I'm like a step above that,
dude.
Yeah, I know.
Every time I say it, I die a little inside. Like I
just hope that one day they hang Logan Paul from the ropes like the victims he made fun of. That's what I'm hoping.
Did I ever tell you what that fucking moron said? He said his
something
excuse,
racist, or was he blowing a dude while he said it?
I don't know about that. I mean, that's not outside of the realm of possibility. But
you haven't seen that video going around of him blowing a dude?
There is said video. Now I want to see it. That sounds hilarious.
I didn't fact check it because I came across my timeline on Twitter and I was like, oh, first off, why am I having dudes blowing dudes on my timeline on Twitter? Second off, why is Jake Paul?
I don't know. You gotta clear your browser there.
By the way, it's our Twitter. It's our fucking show Twitter. That was because people were talking about it. So.
No, my point is, like, I follow one of my favorite young boxers, and this kid's gonna be a star. Is this kid Ryan Garcia? for Victorville, California. He's under Oscar De La Hoya. This kid's had some.
Eureka, California.
What's up?
You want to let it burn? Let it burn. Let it burn.
Yeah.
I'm making terrible Brad Knoll jokes. I'm gonna talk about how I wish that Logan Paul went the way of Brad Knoll here shortly. Keep going.
So my point is, this kid's going to be a stud. Really fast hands. He's already a lightweight contender, and he's only like 21. My thing that makes me upset is I look like his story on Instagram, and he's hanging out with like Jake Paul. Like, really, dude? You're hanging with this fucking loser?
Well, yeah, because everybody just loves clout. Nobody likes. Chris, we're grumpy.
Chris, you're
grumpy
you don't
old
have
men.
anything,
You know that,
bro.
right?
You're not a YouTube story.
Yeah, we're grumpy old men. Is what's happening right now. We're the grumpy old men podcast. And to be fair, I'm happy being that. I've always been the grumpy old man.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't know if you
At least I'm aware. I'm aware. I'm not like I'm a fucking narcissist or some shit, you know.
Well, I've been the grumpy old man since I was a little kid, so I'm kind of used to it. But yeah, anyway, back on track. Fights Gone By, episode 197, was just really good. All of his talk about Fury and the differences between dudes like Wilder and Joshua who learned to box late because they're athletic, and dudes are like, hey, you're giant and you can move real well. You're real athletic. You should hit people for a living. Versus dudes like Tyson Fury who just fought because that was what he grew up doing.
He's named after fucking Mike Tyson.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's very interesting hearing that. A lot of like analogies, like Tyson Fury being able to be both the surgeon and the sledgehammer, which is extremely
I love
rare,
that.
both in especially in heavyweight boxing. So
yeah. What else did he say?
Really
he said, what a coincidence that the best heavyweight boxer in the world's name is Tyson.
Right.
Like a reminder.
Yet again.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the episode. It's just a classic example of why Jack Slack is a fucking gem in the sport and somebody to keep an eye on. Let's see. Do you have any other catches for this week?
I will mention. I listened to some of Co-Main Event while I could. I tried listening at work, even though I'm not really supposed to. That's just a quick shout out.
Yeah, I'll get to that one as a shout out.
I'll let you come.
CME was good.
Let me see something. At least I have more notes on. Let's see.
I mean, we can get to we can keep moving on. You can get to honorable mentions later with them. Because I know you got a bunch of new shows for the new.
I got one more catch because I don't have any can't misses because most of mine are new. I'll do Heavy Hands featuring this guy named Kyle McLaughlin.
You know what? Why don't you hold on to that one?
Hold on to that one.
Is 100% a can't miss for me.
Okay, then I'll let you break. Yeah, we'll just move on.
Perfect. Well, then on that note, do you have any skips for this week?
Don't have any skips.
Me neither. It was a pretty good fucking week for him. I feel like all the MMA podcasts people did were either very good or I didn't listen to the bad ones. I don't know.
That's usually what my skip is. It's kind of like auto skip.
Yeah. I mean, there was some stuff that like wasn't my favorite, but like everybody was at least on topic. I feel like because it was a good weekend of MMA, it was a good weekend of boxing. Like there was very few podcasts that really went off topic on him, like either didn't talk about MMA or were like, "Oh, I think a 4-1 scorecard is totally manageable on fucking John Jones versus Reyes." Also, I stole that from the guy who wrote about Willie Pep, but. Anyway, I'm salty about that still. Anyway, let's see. So you said you don't have any can't misses?
Yeah, not really.
So I've got two. I'll get into. The first of which is Gross Point Blank, the Benavidez versus Figueiredo preview, a.k.a. the final episode, which you guys will hear. Actually, you guys heard the clip from on the intro. Unfortunately, Gross Point Blank is the second of the Athletics podcasts to go away. So they are down to now the main anchor for MMA content in the form of podcast is going to be the Man of the Myth. I believe that was kind of it sounds like, based on the way Josh explained it, that kind of was always the plan for the Athletic, is they were going to launch 3 shows, see which one gets the most traffic and listens and just people on it, and then go with that. Of course, Chuck Mendenhall is probably going to win that battle every time. Especially if you throw Sean Al-Shadi on it, coming off of the A side. Also, they're doing twice-a-week shows, which doesn't hurt their numbers. Also, they're doing more like day-to-day content rather than Fernanda, who I believe we may talk about later, or Josh Gross in this example. But I would argue that is the weakest of the three shows, and don't get me wrong, I love The Man and the Myth. It's a great show. I listen to it every week. I listen to both episodes most weeks. But there's just something about Grosse Point Blank and also Fernando's show where they're just doing content that not a lot of people are doing. And I just wanted to give it a big shout out because while this is only, I think, like a 20-something minute episode, and it was the final one for Josh Gross on The Athletic, I'm sure I have a feeling Grosse Point Blank is going to come back in some form in the future, considering it existed in the past, both on the Short Dog Radio Network and Josh Gross was doing the show with Jeff Sherwood called The Outsiders on TJ DeSantis' Between Rounds Radio Patreon. So I have a feeling that one of those versions might come back. I'm not sure which. And I hope they do because I'm a big Josh Gross fan. But it was very cool hearing him be able to do regular content, kind of just get guests on and do segments about shit that he cared about, which is what this was about. And he made a big point to make this last episode. He brought up this Aldo versus Cejudo fight being made and booked. And he brings up a lot of interesting points. So over the years, him and Jeff Sherwood have argued for, I don't know, a decade plus that that whether or not MMA is actually a sport because of how it's handled. And honestly, this was the closest I've ever heard Josh Gross to be like, hey, we need to be careful that this stays a sport. Because this is the closest I've heard him talk about. I'll quote a couple things he said. He said that there was at one time, like the UFC model for a very long time was under the Joe Silva UFC tournament model. Where like everything, like not always, but like 95% of fights are all based on merit and just a giant ladder of people climbing to the top, and we see who's the best. Because that's what Joe Silva loved. And anyone who's ever followed any part of Joe Silva being a fan, I mean, Joe Silva was literally a forum fan who they picked up and brought on board. And he was just the dude who always, I mean, yes, he would do like fucking weird nickname bouts and weird like mismatches and book Frank Mir and weird things sometimes, but also a lot of Joe Silva's format was just, hey, let's just put up two dudes who's a great style matchup and let's see who wins. And we lost a lot of that recently. And so Josh makes the point that it's super important to keep some of the sports structure to MMA and to just, the reason why we're all watching this and the reason why people care is because it's the best fighting the best. And like we want people inherently want to know who's better. And so by just putting up two random people who are in the middle of the heap, and just because they have big names and big mouths, it doesn't always move the sport forward. So as you guys heard on the intro, he had that great quote about how great champions drive the sport forward, not entertainment. I just thought it was very apt and a very, very strong point to end his show on in this form. So it's a great example of why that it's a fantastic show. Every show Josh Gross has ever done has been good. Every article he's ever done has been good as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, he's a value to the sport, and he is one of the few motherfuckers with ethics in the journalism sphere in MMA that I think needs to be constantly listened to and needs to be around just to keep validity in the goddamn sport. So big shouts to Josh Gross, big shouts to Grosse Point Blank, and I really hope it returns, especially that it would return. I hope it would return to Between Rounds, or that he would return to Between Rounds on The Outsiders with Jeff Sherwood, because I think that's the home for him audio-wise. I know he's still writing for The Athletic and everything, but for podcast-wise. So, I love Josh Gross's content, and I want to see more of it in the future. I hope it's not gone permanently.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right in that yes, there are shows with other MMA journalists who do a fantastic job, like Aaron Brodstetter, for example. It's one of my favorites as far as upholding that whole ethics.
Hard questions, even though he's involved with ESPN in Canada.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a shame to see someone like Josh Gross. I don't think he'll be done with the podcast. I feel like that guy's too bright for that. He'll bring out one. It's funny now that I think about that. I think, once I get back into the whole journalism thing, I'm definitely going to have a podcast of some sorts. While I love doing this with you, as far as on a journalism level, I can't technically say the stuff I say now.
Oh, 100%. Well,
So,
you need a different format. And
I'm definitely going to have one in the future. Like, that's 100%. But it'll be me as a journalist, though.
Oh,
like,
100%.
I'm not going to go off the record and be like, "Fuck that guy."
Right.
You know.
No, you can do the co-main event kind of thing where the show.
Yeah,
is
like
slightly
that's a
different
great
than-
example now that you say that, because they're both legitimate MMA journalists that kind of teeter that gray area line, but they're never actually slandering anyone. Like, they're just kind of poking fun, and you can do that.
True.
Because I don't think I've once ever heard them say like, "Fuck this guy," or what I mean, or "This person is a bad person," or they're all. I mean, there's probably some examples where they.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
There's a certain heavyweight I could think of that they are very
but
vocal.
my point is, if I were to do like a show, but representing myself as that professionally, it'd be along the lines of, because dude, I'm not going to abandon my dark sense of humor, but I'm not going to also.
You need
just
a different
full
outlet
on.
for it. Yeah.
That's all it is. Yeah, I mean, you can have it both ways, but you just have to abide by just being ethical, being objective.
Oh, for
'Cause
sure.
Any like just like what we do now, our podcast is very subjective for the most part, because it's just both of us just expressing our views. But we also, when we analyze fights or previews, we try to look at it both sides. You just get, that's how you have to be analytical about things. Because someone just always says, "I think he's going to win," you don't give a reason why, then that makes zero sense.
Right.
Those are when
I think-
casuals come in or whatever. I know some people hate the term "you're a casual, bro." It's like.
It's a good term.
Yeah, it's for anything.
Yeah,
anything combat sports.
I do think people like a lot of the Bloody Elbow crew is very good at balancing that line, where they will have their shows where they're just outwardly, blatantly, Eugene S. Robinson, just dunking on somebody. Or Conor Rebush is another good example of someone who's very good at dunking on people, but also stating when they're objective and when they're being subjective, and making a clear line between those things.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what it's all about. If you read the AP ethics guidelines, it's not that you can't have biases, because everyone inherently does. It's that when you do have biases, you not only exclude yourself, but you state them out loud. And that's the kind of stuff that matters.
It's literally just transparency. That's what you have to bring to the table.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't hide behind certain viewpoints, behind your fucking shield, like certain other. I won't name them, but we know. We get it,
they were paid by ESPN, and they're they're currently paid by ESPN. They were paid by the UFC through Fox previously.
Yeah, BSPN, right? Bias Sports Past Noon. I don't know what it's.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way: if you're standing up for Stephen Smith, probably not a journalist.
What is it? You call him Steve Smith?
Oh, yeah, sorry, Steve B. Smith. Yes, 100% Steve Smith is oh god, that motherfucker. Anyway, Heavy Hands, episode 305 is my other can't miss for this week, because god damn it was a good. So have you heard any of the content with Kyle in the past? With
no,
you guys
would
know him as Polgus Boxeo on Twitter. Kyle, I forget Kyle's last name. Oh, that's gonna drive me nuts.
It was McLaughlin.
McLaughlin, thank you. Yes, Kyle McLaughlin from the Fight Site, which with the vaping scooter gang and everything. And I couldn't tell if his English accent was more of a Cockney, or if it's kind of like, because I can't remember what area of England it's Cockney. I'm bad at areas, but yes, it is. It is like
because it was funny. Connor's like, "All right, Phil, say bright lights," and he's like, "Bright lights,"
I believe
and he's
he
like,
rolled the
"All right,
R.
Kyle,"
Bright
and then Kyle's
lights.
like, he's like, "Bright lights."
Right. No, if you guys have ever seen the TV show The Young Ones, Zane Simon is Neil, or no, sorry, Zane Simon is Rick, and Kyle is 100%. Oh my God, what's Julie? Vivian. 100%. Like, it's just the exact opposite ends of the spectrum of.
Yeah,
English
if you've ever
accents.
seen the show Peaky Blinders, there's a character named Arthur Shelby, and he talks like this, very much so, on the other spectrum, and you're talking really rough and gruff.
Right, it's like Queen's English versus fucking Anti-Nowhere League.
Yeah, that's
like
a very
extreme
good comparison.
Yeah. Oh man, I love Anti-Nowhere League. That's a
Yeah,
band
they'll
that
just be
people don't
like,
give enough credit.
He can do whatever he wants to do. So fucking what?
So
right?
fucking what? Yeah, 100%. He fucked a goat and whatnot. Anyway, I love Anti-Nowhere League. It's like Hawkspar versus Anti-Nowhere League for a punk reference. How about that?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's beautiful. I'm a big fan of that reference. Anyway, yes, this is a very good. So you said you haven't heard Kyle before. Kyle is a ball buster, and it's the best.
Oh, it was funny. Yeah, because I know there was a lot of boxing talk, as you would hope. And,
a lot of Wilder Fury.
Yeah, I mean, when there's an English boxer, you'd hope other Englishmen chime in. Yeah, I'll let you keep breaking this down. I just kind of had just simple notes.
I mean,
so what did I?
A lot of mine. Go ahead.
Oh, I remember. I think Kyle said, "I don't see how Benavidez versus Cejudo is not regarded as one of the best MMA fights ever." I'm not even kidding. I have to go rewatch that one.
No, it was Benavidez versus DJ1. I thought it was.
Okay, maybe you're thinking about that. Maybe I was thinking about that.
I mean, Benavidez Cejudo was really good, but Benavidez DJ1.
That was a three.
Great.
Yeah, because Benavidez for Cejudo, I think that was a 5-round fight, or was it a 3-round fight?
I think it was a 3-rounder where.
Oh fuck! Okay, he might have. Yeah, he must have been talking about Benavidez versus DJ1.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But they talk a lot about cool stuff. Also, he is, of course, since he's part of the vaping scooter gang and a fight site member, he hates heavyweights, which I always find hilarious. Because that whole crew is just fucking super down on heavyweights because they're just big and lumbering and not that interesting unless it ends very early.
That reminds me. Speaking of heavyweights, what did you think of Max Kellerman? This is kind of surprising. His whole his comment saying he's like, "Oh, Tyson Fury's not the baddest man on the planet. It's actually Stipe Miocic because
motherfucker, the tide is turning on that shit, and it's not."
His reasoning was that it's because there's more martial arts involved. It's more like a real simulated fight, like a street
because
fight.
If there's takedowns, boxers lose. If there's leg kicks,
yeah,
boxers lose.
I would say, like, yes, Tyson Fury is clearly a bad motherfucker in his respective sport.
100%,
So
but
is
he can't take
Miocic,
leg kicks away with his stance.
Yeah. But then it's pretty subjective either way you look at that too. Like MMA people are going to say that, and then boxing people are going to say that.
Well, no,
it doesn't fuck.
Yeah, it's a meaningless argument because of course boxing, like
that's why
boxers win boxing fights, MMA fighters win MMA fights. That's how.
Yeah, I don't want to ever see again any cross sport shit. I just don't care for that.
So boring.
It's stupid. It's fucking dumb.
Yeah. One thing that was really cool though on a lot of this. Well, first off, I am very excited that Conor Rebush announced. It sounds like they're going to release the last episode of Historical Perspective, which was the boxing show that Conor Rebush and Kyle were doing for a little bit, where they kind of just went back and talked about old fights and boxers, and it's just incredible. But evidently, they never put out their last episode because Kyle evidently just firebombed everyone and went way off the fucking rails, and it's like 3 hours. And Kyle kept saying Conor can't put it out for a whole bunch of reasons, but it sounds like he might release it, so that should be a lot of fun. But one of the things I loved about this was some of the technical breakdowns from all three of them were some stuff that I haven't heard anybody talk about. Like, I believe it was Phil McKenzie brought up that, or it was either Phil or Kyle. I couldn't tell because of the accents. but either Phil or Kyle. I honestly don't remember. But one of the two of them brought up that or Fury, it seemed like, in the 12th round of their fight, in the first fight, that he just at a certain point decided, like, oh, I can just walk through shit, and the more I put it on him, it was Kyle or Phil. It might have been Phil.
It was Phil. I'm
pretty sure it was Phil. I want to say it was Phil. I was mostly making a fucking cheeky ass joke about how they sound the same, but then he talks about how essentially it seems like Fury just came into the second fight training like the 13th round, like. I'm exactly. That's exactly right. Out with him because I know if I feint at him enough times and I pressure him, he's just gonna shred over time.
He rocked Wilder at the very end of that first fight in the 12th round. He was fucking rocked.
He won the rest of the round where he almost died.
Yeah, I know there was that controversy in regards to the count, but either way,
well, that's not how boxing counts work.
I know.
It's by the ref. It's not by a clock. But
people outside looking, they're like, "Oh, he hit the floor, so that's one." It's when the ref starts going one.
It's when the ref separates, and it's at the ref's timing. It's not at like a clock's timing. But yeah, it's really interesting hearing them talk about that. Also, Kyle mentioned that there's rumors The rumor is that Fury was able to scout that Wilder throws the right when it's between his collar and his nipple bone, collarbone and nipple. Really.
I was like, nipple bone. That's
I moved the word bone around in that sentence, and I made it very weird. But no, he scouted that when Wilder loads up, it's when he drops it between his collar and his nipple, specifically, like right in that range is where he starts to load up crazy shots from. And he just, every time it went into that range, he would take 2 steps back and then keep with the feints and pressure. But yeah, man, the fucking feints of Tyson Fury were incredible. Like, you want to see how to break someone down with feints. That is one of the best examples. Because he just constantly was feinting and then 1-2ing the shit out of him. I think Kyle also brought up that, well, part of the reason why he kept being so successful with the right hand is because he would feint, left hand, left jab, jab to the chest, and then throw out the left jab, but hook it at the end. And then at that point, when he's starting to feint on top of doing those things, it's just completely shutting down Wilder for what he's going to do with the left hand, which is what catches him with the right. So it's just really like very, very small technical details that they're breaking down that I thought was very interesting that I haven't heard anybody else talk about. So, and that's why I really like Kyle. Like, I've heard Kyle in the past, and him and all of the vaping scooter gang over at the fight site are very good at these kind of like very detailed technical breakdowns. And it's one of the reasons why I think that's why Heavy Hands is a big fan of him. That's a big reason why I'm a fan of him. So
nice, man. Yeah, I feel like I'm dragging or some shit. I don't know if we're supposed to like make this. We're already an hour in. I still got a lot of fucking.
Well, almost. We're not quite. We're doing all right.
Okay.
We're moving. It's just because I've had a lot of stuff and you haven't gotten to yours yet. Because I mentioned to get to.
Yeah.
Oh, I do want to say, though, here, before we move on, I will mention that you guys will hear on the break Phil McKenzie talking about his sadness hedge for the main event in this fight. And, it is kiss the fingers. Fucking fantastic. Also, Kyle is quite literally vaping bubblegum e-liquid during the episode just to live up to the vaping scooter gang fucking joke. And it's real good. And what was the other thing? Oh, fucking Conor Rebosch. I feel so vindicated, dude. How many times have I confused Jeff Neal and Sadiq Youssef on this show? Because I've done it more than once. Because I keep calling Jeff Neal from Team Lloyd Irvin, and I keep calling Sadiq Youssef from Fortis.
I made that fucking mistake,
We've all done it, but Connor did it on this show as well, and it made me feel super vindicated, because I was like, okay, it's not just me. But yeah, just a great episode. They also did a bonus episode about UFC Auckland with Kyle on their Patreon, where it's like an extra 30 minutes of them talking about the UFC Auckland card and Kyle just dunking on light heavyweight and how terrible it is. So it's pretty good. Let's see. So we're on to the new show segment, and you have a whole bunch this time.
Yeah, right? I'll get started with. Well, actually, I tried to go back and listen to a specific one that kind of was lengthy. I noticed a lot of them average like 30 minutes, I think. Mm-hmm. And when she has a guest, it's like an hour or something.
Right.
So I listened to one from January 3rd. A lot of it was about clickbait. And the media, how the media personifies their personification depiction of women, as far as women as props. I thought it was. First of all, Fernanda Prochas is very, very. She's just intelligent all around. I can tell either she does research or she just very well versed in just what the fuck she's talking about.
She's witty as shit, huh?
Yeah, no, she had really funny examples. But her citations, her examples were Colby Covington and Cejudo during the whole cringy act, using women as props in their videos, kind of as their way of saying, "Look at me, I'm successful, I have women around me," kind of thing. She understands that it's an act, but it's still in her view, it's unnecessary. I'm not trying to justify them doing that because they can say, "Oh, if it's necessary, if it's useful," it's like useful to who? How is it meaningful to someone?
Right?
That's
and like,
subjective.
What is the quality of that use?
Yeah, it doesn't do shit for me. I don't care. When I see shit like that, I'm like, these guys are fucking tools.
Right? Like, if you want to say bad things to make money, I don't think that's something that we all have to support, you know? Just because you're making money, it doesn't do shit for the rest of us.
Yeah. She talked about also specific memes, MMA related, that are not useful. I think a lot of it was Brazilian stuff, like the whole Anderson is normal one.
Oh yeah.
She had another one thing. I think the filthy animals one, and then there's a couple other ones, which I understand. Then she talked about the difference between. Well, she talked about sexual assault allegations and how it's unfair to certain fighters. She basically talked about the ones on McGregor saying we can't just make this turn this into a fucking witch hunt. Let the media do its due diligence towards it. I've said that multiple times. Like, yeah, you can make jokes about that, but as long as you're not slandering someone, like I'm not gonna call Conor McGregor a fucking rapist because he's not. It's still under investigation. Like it's
No, accused rapist for sure, multiple times.
yeah. Yeah,
but no.
Her point is it's all alleged.
Well, and that she brought up how it's, if I remember right on this episode, she brought up how a lot of it is there's that fine balance between when to bring it up and when not to bring it up, and how to bring it up when you're addressing it. Like, because you feel like you need to address it every time you mention him, but also you don't want to do the same. You don't want to just go on a diatribe every time because it does nobody any good. So it's like trying to walk that balance and knowing like what the best way to do that is. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, and then lastly, I have I could tell she at least studied the way the media frames topics, or just basic journalism, or at least broadcast journalism 101. She was just going through all this different terminology of how the media likes to present, how they present not just topics or ideas, but almost how they can arrange a status quo for how people like to consume media. And I thought that was interesting. Her take on that, especially, I think she gave like a Brazilian take on it as well too, compared to the U.S. media. So it was insightful, man. I'm glad the episode I chose, because that kind of clicked well with me and stuff that I've studied as well.
Yeah, and they're all like that. I'm gonna be honest. Like, that's why last week as my can't miss, I had the entire catalog of that show. Because it's discussions I'm not hearing anyone have. Like, I can't name a show that's having anywhere near the discussion she was having. So that's also why I sent a message to TJ this week, and I'm gonna keep nagging him about it. That 100%, I hope he tries to get Fernanda to do a podcast if Josh Gross comes back to Between Rounds, because I think if The Athletic is cool with them doing side podcasts, he absolutely should pick up Fernanda as well, because she is unlike anyone else in the sport and an important voice to be heard.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So, yeah, glad I got to check that out. So, and I'll go back and listen to some older ones too. Especially, I kind of want to see how she is with guests and kind of how she.
You should listen to the Rodrigo del Campo one. That one's really interesting. That was during the Mexico City stuff where Jeremy Stevens and Yair were yelling faggot. And the audience was yelling faggot, and Verdum was yelling faggot, and then everyone tried to pretend like Puto wasn't faggot. I honestly didn't know Puto was faggot, like colloquially.
I just heard it's context derivative.
It is, yeah. But then Yair, when he was referring to it later, said the word faggot over and over again.
Yeah, it's just a fucking mess.
Yeah, it's a mess. So that's a very good episode, and I recommend that one for sure. Also, like any of the guest ones, like Leslie Smith, of course, Julie Kedzie. Ben Folks was a really good one too, although it was a little goofier, but it was really good. And also big up on Fernanda ending that show before Chad Dundas had a chance to push his misogynistic agenda on by coming on, as they joked about on the CME this week. Let's see. So I have a new show, actually. Chris, have you listened to Ceremonial Weigh-Ins?
I don't believe so, no.
So I listened to episode 6. This is a show hosted by Angie motherfucking Hill and her husband Adam.
Oh, okay.
It's so good, dude. You need to download it immediately. It's so good.
Okay.
It's Angie Hill. I mean, if you ever watch her Twitch channel or talk, like, I've hung out in her Twitch channel for, Jesus, I don't know, probably off and on, like 4 years or whatever. Back when she was living with Chris Stanley and shit. When her and Adam were. And yeah, it's very cool. It's just them talking shit and hanging out and drinking. At one point, Angie starts a drinking game and she just starts like rambling off facts about the card, trying to see if Adam can guess correctly. Which, spoiler alert, because this card is trash. He absolutely can't. So a lot of drinking it. They also talk. Oh, I believe she says the name of the show is Ceremonial Weigh-ins because it is as superfluous as the ceremonial weigh-ins themselves, which I thought was a very fucking great reference. She talks about going on Rogan's podcast last week and kind of that whole process, and she talked about hanging out with Randy Litke, which I was a big fan of because if you guys don't know, way back in the day, Angie Hill was on the Bone Zone with Randy Litke, the comedian, and Brendan Walsh, the comedian. You want to see actually Angie Hill choked Randy Litke unconscious on that episode. If you want to go back and watch that, I'll put a link in the description. But it's really good. But and Randy's like fucking 230, so it's like little Angie Hill choked out Randy Litke, and he like slumped over, and she was like holding his entire 200-pound weight. It was great. It's a really good thing. But yeah, it's just a really good episode. Adam, her husband, is he's really like a clever dude and funny. I forget where he's from. Scotland, I think. Something like that.
I'm not sure. I know I've heard him.
I know he's got an accent from that part of the world, but I can't remember.
I was gonna say, if he's Scottish, don't say the UK. They hate that.
No, I know. That's why I generally avoid the phrase the UK because a lot of people hate the phrase the UK.
Well, because I remember if someone told me there's a difference between Great Britain and the UK when you're talking about specific areas.
Both of those phrases. I try to just use countries or Europe. Those are the two.
If I remember, I think Great Britain is all the stuff that's like interconnected and not I can't remember.
I can't remember either, but I know they all get offended because they're all owned by those people at one point. Everyone was, or some variation therein, or they all had wars because they're all too close to each other for the last 1,000 years. Also, 1,000. That sounds like a real number. But
a Brazilian, how much is that?
1,000 is a million, right? Just for the record. But anyway, yeah. So it's just really good. It's classic Angie Hill. One thing that was very cool though, she did talk about kind of her trip over there and the long flight and staying up, but she mentioned that she actually worked on her foot sweep game after seeing Loma Lookboonmee, her opponent for the Auckland card. After she saw her Invicta debut back in the day, her and her husband actually started working more on foot sweeps, which I thought was pretty cool. And that's actually what got her the win over Hannah Cyphers, if you remember, in her previous fight. So I thought that was kind of a neat little tip that she dropped in there. And then they pitched their open weight. They want to start an open weight women's fight league. They're currently debating between Big Bitch Fight League and Bad Bitch Fight League, but they want to start an open weight women's fight league because honestly, all you need is like 15 women to just constantly do tournaments with, and like how many of them are there, and how much are they getting paid? And I thought that was pretty goofy. So it's a lot of just like joking around and talking shit, but I really enjoyed it. They'll talk stuff like what music to listen to while working out or getting ready for a fight. Like she says she loves metal, but she can't like listen to especially death metal or anything with double bass when she's in the back warming up because you can't go fast enough to where you're in time with it. So they use a lot more stuff like 3-6 Mafia songs and stuff like that, where it's just like kind of like there's a steady rhythm, but it's also very aggressive sounding. So
just play Whoop That Trick, Muscle and Flow. 3-6 Mafia wrote that.
Yeah, there you go. There's a lot. Well, what that is a very Chris.
I wonder.
I believe Fernando Proches is going to be sending you a letter about.
Yeah, right.
That is not
but yeah, someone has had to have walked out to that, right? Like,
1,000%.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if multiple people haven't, but yeah, it's a very good show, and I'm extremely excited to listen to it going forward.
Nice, man. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, it's just classic Angie Hill and her husband, who, if you don't know, like, they have a very funny back and forth, and they always have, so. And they're also sweethearts. Like, I've talked to them on Twitch a whole bunch while they're just, like, hanging out playing Call of Duty with Chris Stanley and shit, and they're, like, very, very nice people.
Oh, yeah, man. Let's see. Let me...
So you said you had some new shows, right?
Yeah, let me start saying some of these real quick. MMA Fancast with Jim Mooney and Luke Payson. Wow. These guys cover the local MMA scene in Pittsburgh.
Wow, really?
Yeah, this is a
That
random one.
sounds cool as shit.
It was pretty interesting. They just got their guest is a pro fighter named Fadi Schumann. I'm probably saying it wrong. Who had an upcoming match against this guy named Jeremy Mitchell. The name of the promotion was 247 Fighting Championships. I imagine that's an area code in Pittsburgh. That's just me guessing.
I was
don't
guessing
quote me on
it's
that.
24/7.
Oh yeah, you're probably right. Play. It just said 24. I was just going based on what they had typed out. But yeah, it's probably 24/7.
247 is the same in New York, so I'm gonna go with 24/7.
24/7. But the card is called Brawl in the Burg 3. Fadi says he trains in a small gym where the gym is so small that they have to bring in pro boxers and grapplers since most of his gym aren't even fighters. They're just there to work out.
Oh wow.
And like learn self-defense. He says finding opportunities. Oh yeah, so they talked about some of his past fights and how most of his submission victories are kind of like just very last second. And he talks about how he's able to find some of those opportunities when you're
Paul
looking.
Craig of the Pittsburgh scene.
Yes. So that's what I had there. Both the co-hosts, Jim and Luke, play well with each other. They're funny. Yeah, It's cool, man. I'm glad I listened to this because we need more podcasts that specifically cover local
Absolutely.
scenes.
That's why I love guys like Eurobash and Severe MMA because they cover the European scene in a way that not a lot of people are in a very in-depth regional way, especially the Irish scene.
Let's see. Another one I listened to was called Holding Hands and Throwing Fists. I believe these co-hosts are married. It says with George and Anna.
Wow. Where did you find these? Are they on MMApodcast.com?
It was on the thing that I told you about, the listen notes, where it's the latest MMA podcasts. Let's see. They said finding out that Joe Benavidez is married to Megan O'Leary is like finding out your third grade teacher is dating the janitor at school.
Oh, that's not nice.
I know. I was like, what? I don't know about janitor. Maybe like the PE coach or some shit.
Yeah.
They said they both thought that Paul Felder edged the fight last week against Dan Hooker. How'd you score that? I don't know if I texted you.
We'll get into it.
We'll get into that, yeah. They said they watched their girl Carolina damn near die in the octagon.
Oh my god, that fight was so sad.
They said big shout out to Angie Hill for being a badass, fighting 5 times in the year.
6
times, that's right. Or is she going for number
340 something days?
Okay, that's what it was.
She actually holds the records for the most fights in the shortest amount of time in the UFC.
Okay. They recapped Wilder versus Fury. They said what a beatdown. They talked about the costume excuse. And then I think I just have one more new one that I'll just say real quick.
Sure.
This one was called 40s and Fights.
What?
Yeah. And
oh my god, have you found my new favorite show?
Yeah, the co-hosts always are drinking a 40 no matter what. And that's their shout out.
40?
I didn't catch the name of one of them, but the other guy had appendicitis over the weekend from eating some bad food and had to get his appendix emergency surgery. So
was he still drinking a 40?
No, he definitely was drinking. But he's definitely on a lot of painkillers. He said he spent his weekend on painkillers and video games. And he said, in quotes, if your tum hurts and you can't poop or vomit, go to the doctor. His co-host, his name is Oliver. He said, I'm gonna start calling you Oxy Oliver from now on. Which is pretty good. He said, yeah, the nurse asked me, how many times do you drink? And he's like, I'm literally not a big, he's like maybe once or twice a week. And she said, she literally asked me, do you do the marijuana? Like, that's how white and weird the nurse was, like old.
Yeah, that's
and he says,
from the Midwest.
And he says, I do the marijuana every day. They recap Bellator. They talked about how Ed Roof lost. They talked about the Karolina Kowalkiewicz fight. They said they love Jimmy fucking Crute. They both thought Paul Felder won. They talked about matchups for Dan Hooker. They're both at a loss for words with the Tyson Fury victory. They said, fuck Henry Cejudo. Where's Piotr Jan or Corey Sandhagen? They said Cejudo's been an absolute. They said he's been a terrible champ. They said Cejudo's gonna walk out of the press conference looking like fucking Lord Farquaad from Shrek. They said he's also gonna be Mini Colby calling. He said they said, what's the over-under that he calls Brazil a dump? They're like, guaranteed. That's a fucking guarantee he's going to do some stupid shit like that.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
And then the last couple things I had is they make an argument. They said they believe by the end of 2020, Piotr Jan will be the bantamweight champion.
That's not a bad bet.
Yeah.
That dude's a bad motherfucker. Him or Aljo, I have money on.
40s and Fights is what it's called. It's on SoundCloud.
That show sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was good. I'll look it up on SoundCloud and send you a picture of their logo.
Yeah. I'll look around for it. I'm sure I can find it. We'll have a link in the description as always and everything. Up next week, I'm going to be mostly catching up on the Fight Site MMA podcast because the Fight Site, which is of course Kyle McLaughlin and all those dudes, all the Vaping Scooter Gang guys, Saram and all them. I forget who's actually on their MMA podcast specifically because I know Kyle has started a boxing podcast. Also, there's a Muay Thai podcast that they've started for the network. So most of next week, I'm going to be listening to just all of the content they've put out since they started their network, I believe, at the December of last year. So I'm going to be talking about that next week, and hopefully I'll send it over to Chris and get him to listen to it as well. And then I'm trying to catch up on Danny Segura's recap and Q&A shows he's been doing on his YouTube channel because they seem fucking awesome. Like they seem like old school Luke Thomas style that Danny Segura is doing, which I think is very fucking cool. And he is the arroz to his frijoles, if I understand correctly. That's right. So, manos arriba and all that. So, fucking, I'm definitely going to be checking that out. But, yeah, I'm very excited to check out the Fight Site guys stuff. Do you have any honorable mentions you want to spit out there real quick before we go on break? Because I know we're running long.
Co-main event.
Yeah, CME episode, here, I got it right here. 390 was really solid, with Ben talking about eating fucking edibles and watching Deontay Wilder's walk out.
Yeah, I don't know. He looked like fucking, was it Sauron from the guy from Lord of the Rings?
Who had the best? Somebody, hold on, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Here he is, Luke Thomas this week, on one of my honorable mentions, Luke Thomas live chat episode 21. Luke Thomas described him as looking like Master Shredder and a Decepticon mixed to go to Mardi Gras.
That's a pretty good one.
It's pretty accurate. Like it looks like if you were to just put in a blender Mardi Gras, Master Shredder, and a Decepticon, and that's what came out. So
yeah, I remember they talked about matchmaker at the lightweight division. They also said 85% of dudes from Dagestan have the same haircut and beard. They're all interchangeable. They talked about how impressive Brad Riddell was in just his second UFC fight, that kind of stuff. They said Karolina Kovacevic, her corner should have thrown in the towel. Jesus. Speaking of throwing in the towel. And then they talked about Max Kellerman. And, that's all I had for co-main. I know we probably should cut it short soon.
Sure. I got a couple honorable mentions. Go
for it.
Show Money, episode 32 was really good. Mostly focuses on breaking down the numbers for Wilder vs. Fury. They talked a bit about the recent $300 million UFC dividend payment, which is kind of a big fucking deal, and the crazy interview with the PFL co-founder Don Davis, where he talks about a lot of weird numbers and why he's getting into the MMA business, which he says some weird shit in that is something to keep an eye on. But it's super educational. They also talk a little bit about the antitrust ruling and when they think that's going to come down. Behind the paywall, UFC Auckland discussion is really good. Mentioned Luke Thomas live chat, which was very solid. The Writer and the Fighter episode 59. It's a lot of good food talk as always. And also they question whether all white dudes from San Diego are smug or just most of them. And as I tweeted back to him, that's not a bad read, dude. A lot of white dudes from San Diego are super smug. As a white dude from San Diego, I feel like I have the authority to say I know a lot of smug white dudes from here. So, especially depending on the area you're from. I'm going to say the closer to the beach, the more smug you get. I'm going to throw that out there. I feel like I'm not wrong.
That's a fair statement.
I feel like also the closer to the desert you get, you also get more smug for some reason. And I don't understand that part either. Let's see. The A-Side live chat we talked about. Severe MMA episode 248. Peter O'Connor guested for Graham, who's in Brazil. That was pretty solid. Also, Sean Sheehan this week, if you guys know anything about the Pod God, you would know he's the biggest Wonderboy fan in the whole goddamn world. And he got to interview Wonderboy this week, which was fucking the best. He asked everything from wanting to see so have you thought about fighting Gunnar Nelson in Dublin? Because it would be the coolest fucking thing of all time. And he talks about the nicest motherfucker belt and all that, which that was really good. And then also UFC Unfiltered, episode 370. Jamie English sits in, and goddamn it, it's always a good episode when Jamie English is in studio.
You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, he sat in for Matt Serra, but they had John Morgan and Megan Anderson on. It was very good.
Nice.
Cool, man. Do you have any honorable mentions before we get to the next segment?
Oh, that was it for me.
Or sorry, not honorable mentions. Well-rounded stuff. Anything that's not MMA related.
Not really. Yeah, no.
I got a couple, but I'm literally just gonna rattle them off. Cheap Beer Corner is maybe my favorite YouTube thing that exists. It's the guys from Whoa, hey, Sean Sheehan dropping in chat, yelling Wonder Boy. Fucking man, Sean Sheehan's the best. But that Wonder Boy interview was, man, everybody go look at the tweets Sean Sheehan sent out on his own personal Twitter about the Wonder Boy thing. It's the best. I laughed out loud about all of them, and that is a very real thing. Anyway, Cheap Beer Corner is the guys from Four Brewers, who I'm big fans of. They're dudes up in the Anaheim, LA area, who are long time, like decade plus beer podcasters and brewers, both homebrew, and Matt, who's one of the two hosts on that show, is also a production brewer, worked at everything from the Packing House Brewery up in Anaheim, worked at the brewery in Anaheim. He worked at, what's the name of that Colorado brewery that loves weed? Dave's Pale Ale. Oscar Blues.
Oscar Blues, yeah.
Yeah, he worked at Oscar Blues on the East Coast for a bit. He's back in LA now, or in Anaheim area, and they're doing Cheap Beer Corner again, and they did episode 51 about Bud Light. They literally just drink cheap beer and rate cheap beer. And by the way, Bud Light is very low on their list of cheap beer. Above that, regular Busch. Above that, Genesee Cream Ale. And by the way, they're not wrong. If you do side-by-side tastings of these, they have very good arguments for why Bud Light's trash, because it's too sweet. Also, very good things I watched this week. There's an incredible thing. So, How to Drink is a great cocktail show hosted by a dude named Greg. It's extremely well edited. He has like professional team doing his editing and shit. It's gorgeous. But also, he's super knowledgeable, and he did a great episode about what is rum, because rum doesn't work like all other booze. Rum is kind of weird. It's like it has its own categories that don't really mean anything. Like light rum and dark rum and gold rum don't really mean anything. It doesn't mean they're more aged or less aged, or not using sugar or using sugar. Like none of it means anything. The years in rum don't mean anything. Like if it's an 8-year-old rum, it just means it has some part of it is 8 years old, not the majority. So like it uses none of the other roles. So he has a very informative explanation of that. And as a side companion, Smuggler's Cove, the book written by Martin Cate and his wife Rebecca Cate, is fantastic. This is the dude who owns the tiki bar out in San Francisco called Smuggler's Cove, arguably the greatest tiki bar in the country. And he also is the guy who owns False Idol down here in San Diego, which is the hidden tiki bar inside Craft and Commerce that is absolutely the best thing on the fucking planet. As a matter of fact, if I go right here, I went to False Idol last week, so I actually have their entire menu. Here, you know what? I'll show you some menu options. Y'all want to see some menu options for this place?
I mean, I can't see them, but...
No, you can't, but they can, and it's great. But yeah, False Idol is fucking legendary, and I'm a big fan of them. They make the best tiki drinks in the city. They do it the right way. They do it by like the Don the Beachcomber old school rules, and they have the book has everything from how to categorize rums, which rums to use and which kinds of drinks. He has a numbering system. He has recipes not only for just cocktails but for also all the syrups they use. So everything from like passion fruit syrups to gardenia syrups, which, spoiler, gardenia syrup is actually a butter-based syrup that doesn't use gardenia flowers. It's all very confusing and crazy, but it's a gorgeous book and very cool. So now that I've gotten through that, I recommend all of it, and we will be back here in just a minute to talk about, very fucking briefly, to talk about this upcoming Norfolk card, because I give zero nor fucks about it. Chris, how about you? Actually, I love the main event, but that's about it.
Yeah, I don't give a nor fuck either.
Yeah.
So,
well, then in the meantime, we'll be right back, but you guys can listen to this clip of Phil McKenzie talking about how he is taking the Sadness Hedge. So we'll be right back.
Liked by the sound of violence.
I don't know. I'm 100% sadness hedging.
Okay.
What are you fucking talking about? I mean, you'd be happy if Joseph Benavidez won, right?
Oh, absolutely.
When was the last time MMA did something that made you happy?
Yeah, I know. I'm leading myself astray.
This is a sport where we are looking forward to Holloway Volkanovski 2, in which we will see the end of Max Holloway, and Cejudo Aldo.
Don't bring that up.
And you're like, oh yeah, this hard-working flyweight champion of the people holding on in his decaying division, he's gonna get his chance. He's gonna get his fairy tale, and no, he's gonna get killed. He's gonna get killed, and it's gonna be horrible.
About it all.